Hi everyone, welcome to episode 14, podcast via the Hub. And today we are joined by the lovely Becky. You may recognise the name Becky Stevenson. Becky kindly did a webinar for us earlier this year. For those that were within the Hub community that attended that, it's actually one of our best attended webinars to date, because the topic of conversation was all about strategy within your business. Now, you know, guys, I talk about strategy a lot because it is a sentiment to what we do. However, the topic of conversation for this podcast is business your way. So, Becky, do you just want to introduce yourself and your business to our listeners?
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you for having me. So I'm Becky Stevenson. I'm a business consultant and strategist, and three things that I concentrate on are customer journey, so the steps that your customers take to do business with you, and the counter steps that you do as a business owner to deliver that service. Processes, which I know is not an exciting topic, but it's really important, and systems. So underpinning those really three strong things to enhance, grow and develop your business. So they're my top passions in life.
And they definitely are, and we're going to explain about Becky's journey since the webinar in terms of something that she's just recently launched a little bit later in the podcast, just to explain a little bit more about that passion and kind of what Becky's done from literally, I think it was around about 4 or 5 months ago that we was on the webinar together. But as I mentioned, guys, I talk about strategy a lot because we talk about business improvement and marketing strategy within our service delivery. But as you can see with what Becky mentioned there, our services are very different, even though probably we are in the consultant space together. But we were having the conversation just as we started recording about that's the benefit, because if I get somebody that needs systems and processes, needs more in depth about customer journey, and needs to know basically about that topic of them three key areas Becky's just kindly mentioned there, that's who I would put Becky in touch with in terms of that referral. Very similar to if somebody came to Becky and said, I've got a headache, I can't seem to generate some ideas and improve my business, or I'm doing this and not getting the return and I'm not sure why out of my marketing. That's probably where I can join forces with Becky and bring that element. So that's the beauty of the podcast. We invite those that we collaborate with, recommend and refer, or again collaborate with for further opportunities. And the reason we titled the podcast Business Your Way, courtesy of Becky, may I add, is because it means what it is for you, and continuing that conversation, because it's all well and good applying the strategies and the steps that we share with you from Becky's webinar to what I talk about on a regular basis with you in the Hub. But the topic is what it means for you, and kind of banging that drum as Becky will explain more. So do you want to just explain more about that in terms of what you meant about kind of continuing that conversation from the webinar and what it means to them when it comes to strategy?
Yeah, sure. So I get really passionate about this topic, and hopefully others listening do as well. So depending on how long you've been in business, whether it's a couple of years or longer, whether you've had businesses before or whether it's your first business, it's really overwhelming being a business owner, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got so much to juggle, we've got so much to think about. And we go out there, we listen, to podcasts for advice, we take courses, we, read different things, and we're pulled in a million directions.
Yeah.
And we get to that crossroads and think, I don't know which advice to go for. I don't know which direction to take. I don't know which to do next. Mm-hmm. And that's really hard. And that is one kind of, point that I wanted to make is just acknowledging it is hard. So if you're feeling like that, first of all, it's totally normal to feel overwhelmed and stressed and all of those things. But the key thing is to really, really understand what you want as a business owner.
Yeah.
And if you want to grow or develop your business, it's recognizing that what you want and what your business needs is totally unique. So someone can tell you to apply a certain strategy or take up this piece of software or go on this particular course. But if that doesn't fit for you and you think, oh, I don't like the sound of that, or that makes me want to run 10 miles, in the opposite direction, that's okay. Like we listen to these different kind of people out there, and their way is the right way, and if you don't do this, your business is going to fail, and if you don't do this, you're never going to reach that milestone. It's a lot of rubbish, put it politely. It's like, you will get there, you will, if you take the action. And that is the biggest message from all of it. We're all guilty of it. Consumer course, the book, the webinar, and going, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And then not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
So as long as you're taking the action, you will progress and succeed and grow, is the key thing. But do what's right for you. Don't get sucked into this shoulda, coulda, and you need to be doing this, because you'll just rebel it. And I've learned that in 5 years. I've been to various things, sat round thinking, I don't resonate with this at all. And people are sat there nodding away, going, yeah, this is amazing. And me thinking, nah, this is not for me at all. And then thinking, I was then bad at business, or I was, not great at, I don't know, marketing or sales or whatever it may be. But actually what I've learned to recognize is just that technique or that thing right for me. So I've got to find what works. So recognize that in yourself. Don't get carried away in that.
And I think it's important to remember, Mike Hardcastle, who came on to episode 12 of the podcast, and he mentioned about, in terms of training, in terms of when people are learning in a room, 80% forget, 20% remember, but actually 5% out of that 20% actually apply it. So sometimes kind of that imposter syndrome can come in when you're faced with all that information, isn't it? No matter who you're going to learn from, whether it's a workshop, whether it's a consultant you've decided to work with, it's got to feel right, but it's also, you've got to apply. And that's what I'll say. And a lot of people say to me, oh, you shouldn't offer free discovery sessions. So my question is to them, why not? You've got to explore to find out that, one, it's the right fit for the business, but also that is a vice versa. It's a two-way relationship, and 100% you've got to pick what works for you. I was presenting at a networking event in Barnsley on a Friday recently, and I did a spotlight, and I was mentioning about market research and how important it is for the business, because those that listen to me know I talk about return on investment and knowing your numbers and your stats. That's what I specialise in. That's the reason I talk about it. And I went round the room, and there was one lady who said, I don't do it. And I went, can I ask the reason why? She went, because I don't need to. And I said, okay, and that's fine. And she kind of looked at me, and I get on really well with Claire. And again, Claire did the webinar for me yesterday. So again, these are the people that support our business as well as we support theirs. And we had the conversation about, actually, that's okay. If you don't need to do that for your business, no problem at all. And she came back to me and fed back after that meeting that every time that question is brought up with other people within my space, it's a very negative thing when she says, I don't do it. And I was actually the one person that said, that's okay. Because as Becky says, it's about doing what's right for you. We can provide you with the tools. So we can give you the toolkit, and we can help you through our consultancy services, but it's what it means to you and what applies and resonates with you, so you actually take action, because a goal is just a wish if action's not applied. So 100%. So what works for you right now, Becky, in your business at present, with talking about what it means for you? Is this something that's working really well for you now, that you've applied? Obviously, because I know you apply what you teach, same as ourselves, treating ourselves as the best customer. So what's working for you right now?
Yeah, so I think for me, I've really gone, and not in a woo-woo way. I'm not a very, those who know me, you know that I'm quite kind of black and white and quite factual, but I have gone really into this, like listening to myself, like listening to my gut and going, does this feel right? You know, does this
Yeah,
discovery call feel right? Does this next job feel right?
yeah,
You know, does this contract work for me?
yeah,
Really listening.
yeah,
And when there's that little niggle of doubt, I just kind of go, okay, what's going on here? You know,
yeah.
explore it a little bit more. But if in doubt and there's any kind of rumblings of I'm not sure
Mhm.
about this, it's just a no. Like
Yeah,
I just don't go with it. And I think that is
yeah.
such a powerful thing that
Mm?
you know, when we're kids, we say what we think, we do what we think, don't we? And over the years that gets like diminished and
Yeah,
told our opinions don't matter or whatever, you know,
yeah,
without going into all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really like listening to yourself and what you want
yeah,
and that kind of thing. And really listening to your clients.
yeah.
You might have a brilliant idea and you think that's amazing and I'm going to do it
Hmm.
and goes back to your kind of market research. But if nobody wants it,
Yeah,
nobody wants it.
yeah,
As much as you can love it, you know,
yeah,
like really kind of figuring out that kind of strategy and tactics and
yeah,
listening to what people want,
yeah,
and you know giving people what they want
yeah,
and like realizing that sometimes what you think they want isn't the right thing,
yeah,
so really kind of looking at that.
yeah. And literally just asking the question, what do you think? And thinking
Yeah,
about offering this, would that work for you?
yeah,
And I pitched a strategy refresher in January, and I thought, of course, people are going to take
yeah,
that refresher.
yeah,
Um, and they didn't. They wanted the one to one. They wanted me to come back into the business and actually work with them one to one
yeah,
because they'd actually not applied
yeah,
actually what I'd taught them in the group workshops. I actually went back and thought, so why am I pushing a refresher
yeah,
when they don't need a refresher? They need to start again. They need to kind of
yeah,
do need to refresh in a way, but they need to actually really look at things
yeah,
because things have probably changed because that does happen in business.
that's it does.
Sometimes, for example, you have that idea, don't you, and you ask your customers, and yeah, all guns blazing, let's go. And we've had the same situation, myself and everybody talking this morning mulling over something we launched in lockdown, but actually you've got to go back to what is your customer saying?
Yeah,
What's the interaction like? And is it working? And unfortunately, that element isn't anymore. It did in lockdown, it's not now.
yeah,
So our job is to kind of make sure that we are innovating that and stopping that and changing that as and when best required for the business. So it
and
is,
not getting disheartened as well.
yeah,
Just because you're going to decide not to do something anymore
yeah,
or it's not working, that
yeah.
doesn't mean it was a bad idea
Yeah,
or it never worked. It's
yeah,
just knowing when to stop.
yeah,
I think that's the
yeah,
key thing. And like with my clients, I've realized that strategy and like the consultancy side is all well and good, but
yeah,
actually, what people need is help with implementation
yeah,
because they're so busy. They
yeah,
can get the advice,
yeah,
they know they need to do it,
yeah,
they know they need to take this action for it to be valuable,
yeah,
but they're trapped in a cycle.
yeah,
So I added a different element into my one of my packages where we, you know, I offer implementation
yeah,
by me or you know people I work with,
mhm,
um, and that's been really successful, and
yeah,
that's moved people on
yeah,
leaps and bounds,
yeah,
and it is that constant looking, refining,
mhm.
checking. Like it's never done. It's
No,
looking at it and moving with it
yeah,
continuously
yeah, and I
and
think,
growing, you know, growing it and growing in that way. So you can
yeah,
think, okay, we did that. Actually, we need to work with people for longer, and
yeah,
this is now how we're gonna navigate it.
yeah,
So just constantly assessing.
yeah, and that's kind of what works for us is that research, and that's the reason we talk
Yeah,
about it so much. It's the reason it's step two
yeah,
within kind of our strategy, whether it's the
yeah,
seventh step or the fourth step that we apply, because that is what works
yeah,
by sitting back and assessing and
yeah,
evolving. And like I say, things do change. So again, being uh, open to that and don't feel disheartened by that is definitely key.
Yeah.
So talking about changing business your way, I know obviously there's been a development within your business, Becky, something that obviously very proud to have accomplished and share with everybody. So do you just want to share a little bit about that? Because go back to the start of when we launched the podcast, and you mentioned about how passionate you are about the journey, about the process and the system for your clients. What is now available through your services that wasn't back a couple of months ago when we first started obviously working together with the webinar?
Yeah. So I've just launched a book. So I've written a book and launched that on Amazon.
Amazing.
That's choosing the right software to manage and organize your small business. So it's a book, but it's also a workbook. So what I was finding was, we go onto Facebook groups, we go onto LinkedIn, we go onto all these different places, and we see that question, which is, which CRM do you use? And that's the question that, breaks me into a million and one pieces every time I read it.
Yeah.
For the very reason that it's such a massive question.
Yeah.
So it's so valid, so valid. You do need to be doing that kind of question.
Yeah.
But that kind of question comes much later in the process. So I was helping people out. I wrote a blog about it. I was helping people to kind of look at that, that kind of question and giving pointers. And I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna write about this. And it started off being a blog. Then I was going to do it, which I wrote, and then I was going to do it more into an ebook, and then it's ended up being a full-blown book. Got a bit carried away, as you do. So the book basically guides people through a process of finding software for the business.
Yeah.
And there are lots of different elements to that, and people often they don't know what those elements are. So asking that question is completely valid.
Yeah.
But what you're going to get is a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
Which again is great at the right time.
Yeah.
And you're going to get information which is not relevant to you. And again, going back to that, your business, your personality, somebody can say, this system is absolutely brilliant for me.
Yeah.
And then you'll get another person who says, that's absolutely terrible, that system.
Yeah.
Who's right and who's wrong?
Yeah.
Either it's right for the person who it's right for.
Yeah.
And it's right for that person because it didn't work.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's wrong or right for you.
Yeah.
So basically it takes you through the entire process of setting your goals, why you're doing this, why you're getting a system, auditing what you have, looking at what you need, looking at your customer journey, looking at your processes, looking at what you need, looking at your setup, your business, all that kind of stuff, a little bit of a touch on GDPR. And then whether, an off-the-shelf system is going to work, or maybe whether you need to go bespoke.
Yeah.
And, advising people on that as well from what I've seen and learned, and all the bad stuff as well, because there's a lot of bad stuff what goes on, as in any business. But the two main reasons why bespoke systems fail. So kind of highlighting that to people. And it's a book where people shock horror, you can write in the book. Which I know some people will freak out at the very thought. I do love a scribble in a book and a highlighter. Some people will be curling the toes and wanting to turn it off. But I've done a PDF download for those people who don't want to write in the book. But it is about reading the section and then taking mini action steps through the process, rather than reading a book, going, that's brilliant, putting it on your shelf,
and not doing anything with it.
And it's another thing on your to-do list. It actually guides you through a process, step by step, and you can chip away at it in a process, because it is time consuming. It's a lengthy process to change your systems in your business. And it will do your head in at times. So you need to take it in tiny little chunks, and that's what book does. It guides you through that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a new thing in my business.
Which again, it's amazing to see, and the reason I wanted to touch upon it is for those that are aware, within the hub this month we're talking about content, and a lot of people, when I do research and look at kind of our strategy matrix, and we present them findings to a client, they'll say to me, well, what does an author mean? Why do I need to be an author? And there is different ways in terms of how to accomplish that title, whether it be ebooks, like Becky's mentioned, whether it be blogs, writing, whether it be publication. But the best thing you can do to create authority and credibility in your sector is speaking in terms of content and a book. Because the perception of you saying, I'm now a published author, positions you as the expert in that room in front of that audience instantly. That is the first impression. And that's priceless in terms of wanting everyone to be impacted by what you are about to say. So to see that you've done that, to raise again the profile and to offer something in terms of, I know you didn't do it for raising profile, you did it to help, which I think is what every person should do if they're going to be an author, because that will come across in the book, which I know it does, but it does increase that profile and credibility. So by doing the book, Becky, and going through that process, what is now next for the business? What's coming to fruition because of that, or what are you finding the benefits of putting that piece of content out there, just for our listeners to maybe consider, because content is such a big topic. That's the reason we're covering it, and I thought it was quite relevant that obviously you've just published your new book. So yeah, what is next? What's coming to fruition because of that?
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Content wise, you've set yourself up there for like a year's worth of content, and beyond if you think about, what you've got out of that.
Yeah.
Obviously on a business side, you've got another income stream coming in, I'm not going to tell lies, you're not going to be a multi-billionaire overnight from this, the royalties are there, but you've got another income stream coming in. And for me, it is about that kind of positioning, and being able to, work with larger organisations as well as small businesses.
Yeah.
So kind of diversifying my kind of pool, if you like, of people that I'm working with. So I've, been kind of having conversations with really like big, exciting organisations on processes and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think by getting that content out, sharing that, other people sharing that for you, which is huge. You get access to their network, on LinkedIn, which is where my kind of hangout is. It really does kind of snowball that exposure. And for me, it's really about helping smaller businesses as well to get that system into their business. I'm going to be running a series of round tables where people can come along with a workbook, come along with their questions, and just sit down over a cup of coffee with other people who are going through that process, and kind of just like get that backup and support. And again, like, you can go through the book, you can write stuff down. There's nothing better than someone sat in front of you going, yeah, that sounds brilliant, or I'm doing that too. Like, it gives you that boost. So there's going to be round tables. I'm going to be doing some facilitated workshops for people who maybe, and I've done this many times, so don't feel guilty about it, where you've bought something, you've got them good intentions, but you just sit looking at the book going, oh, I'm still not really sure where to go with it. So literally taking people through a guided process. So lots of exciting things coming up.
Good, and that's kind of the reason I wanted you to share that, because a lot of people say to me in terms of content and pieces of content, I'm quite scared of doing that, but I'll always say about the benefit and the repurpose element of it. So a big piece of content like a book, like an ebook, like a guide is something that takes work and takes some time to put together, but it's also something that you can use in years to come, and it again creates that authority, as I mentioned. Like Becky's now having exciting conversations with bigger companies on systems and processes because that's what she niches in. So again, if you have a niche, a book is a really good way to kind of say I'm the expert in that niche as well. So it's great to see that things are coming to fruition, and just show kind of our listeners on the topic of content this month just the huge benefit that content provides in many forms, but definitely in obviously book form. So we've talked about obviously business your way and making sure you're not following the crowd and you kind of coming back to you and what it means to you and what's working in your business at the moment. So if someone was listening to this podcast right now and feeling quite overwhelmed with things that they're learning and doing and not sure kind of what to do next, what is probably your number one tip to anybody listening to this thinking, yeah, I need that help. I need to know which path to take in terms of my business when it comes to obviously going forward. What would be your number one top tip?
Yeah, so this sounds really simple, and yet it's so hard to do, is literally to just stop. Stop, book some time in your diary, like a whole day, which I know is precious in most people's diary, but book a day in and just really look at everything, look at where you are, like in your business, like I say, where you want to go, what's driving you nuts, like in your business right now, what's stopping you from doing those exciting things, like what's holding you back. Is it too much paperwork? Do you need help?
Yeah,
like just really real with yourself and look at it and say, what's going on and what do I need to change?
yeah,
Pick one thing, like the most important thing, what's really going to make the biggest difference. Pick one thing, not 20, because you're going to get a lot on that, on that list, but pick the one biggest thing that could make that difference to you, to give you that headspace. Maybe it is seeking advice from somebody, helping you to do that. Maybe it's getting a VA, like it's been on your list forever, but it's going to help you, like figure out what it is. And then after that, then you've got to put it in your diary to do it.
Yeah.
And just make that little plan for yourself. And I know it sounds simple, but we don't do it, do we?
No.
So it's stopping, making the time, even though you haven't got it. Audit what you've got, pick one thing which is going to make the biggest difference, and then put it in your diary to do it. If it is getting the VA, contact somebody and have that discovery call, send the email, like that's one step in the right direction, because it feels massive, or set up a discovery call for chatting with a consultant or whatever it is, take that action and get the support, because you're probably finding you're doing this all on your own. It's lonely and it's a bit terrifying and it gets horrible. But if you get that right person by your side, they're going to help you fly and move on.
100% agree. Because we went to an event a couple of weeks ago and we said the biggest takeaway we took from that was actually it was taking time out of the business, 2 days, which we'd never normally do. Yes, it made my week the following week with an exhibition absolutely jam-packed where I thought my head was going to explode. But that time out of the business showed me that I need to level up. How I'm going to level up right now, I'm not sure, but I know I need to take the business to the next level to provide what I want out of the business. And again, it's something that we say to the customer is that exactly what Becky's just shared. Stop and ask yourself, what is it that you want that return to be? What is it that you want back into the business? And what do you need to do to get it? Because it's all about planning. And I know we mentioned this kind of at the start, and it's probably the perfect thing to finish on. It is stopping, taking a moment to think about what you want, and then put in action towards that so you can do that and move one step forward. Because I'm sure we've all seen that image and that analogy, small steps lead to big changes, and big steps too soon you can fall through the cracks. So again, whatever it is, as Becky has said, one step further is making sure you're running your business your way. So, Becky, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time. If someone is listening to this and they want to get in contact because they need that help with what you specialise in, or they want to get in touch about the book, how is the best way for them to contact you right now?
Yeah, so you can either head over to LinkedIn and connect with me on there, have a look at some of the stuff, or head over to my website, which is beckystevenson.co.uk. And if you fancy a look at the book, it's on Amazon and you can head over and grab a copy there.
Amazing. So guys, do check Becky out in terms of if you need help with the customer journey process and systems, or you want to learn more about the book and know which is the right kind of system for you in your business. If you've enjoyed listening today, do check out the Hub on Spotify, the YouTube channel, which is literally the Hub, and you will find all of our episodes there. And if you want to know more about how the Hub can support you in your business, do reach out at www.askzoe.co.uk. And we appreciate your time, Becky, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Take care.